But so the brief it pane is, you can get to it by going up to view, panes, and down here there's a brief it pane. I have mine where it will come on when I start my real time, and that is an option that you can have. I also have a steno brief, an outline that if I write it, it will toggle on and off. So if you notice that my brief it pane is open right now, but if I wanted it closed, I have a stroke. All I did was wrote the word brief with a T on it, and it toggles open and closed. Sometimes I don't like to have a lot of these little panes up everywhere, like, you know, hotspots on one side and filters and all these things, because I like to have more real estate on my screen that's my actual real time. So if you don't want that always to be up, you can always just toggle it, and that's something that you can put into your dictionary. It's just toggle brief it pane. But what brief it does is if you write 3 or more steno strokes, it will offer up a brief for you. I don't think it'll do it the very first time, but it will, if you've written it a couple times, it will pop up a brief. So there's options that you can have. It will give you briefs for what you don't have in your dictionary. Say you don't have Higginbottom in your dictionary and you have written it 3 times, it will give you a brief for it. It'll just pop up with a brief, and it'll be in a particular color. If you look on the right sides over here, it'll be in these peachy colors here. And this is drawn from another file that's in your system files. I sent that to you earlier today. You should all have one of these in your system files. So it will offer up either by an algorithm, what it thinks it could be, or it will look in that dictionary and it will offer you a brief. So for instance, if you look right over here to the right, I wrote some things earlier, so I'd have some things on here. See this where I have and I say, it offered up to me, why don't you write it and IS? And if I wanted to write it that way, all I'd have to do is write it, and it puts it right into my job dictionary. I don't have to do anything. Once I see it to the right, if I write it with, instead of and I say, if I write and IS, it will still put it in there without me doing anything because it offered up that. So if you look right here, here's one that says come up. I wrote it out, come up. Well, it's telling me, well, you know what? You could write that in one stroke with KMUP. So I write KMUP, and it just puts it right in there because it's offering it up on the side. And then if you notice, it changed a color. It changed to gray over here because I just used it. Now, if it's in green, green says, I wrote and I want in 3 strokes. I wrote that in 3 strokes. It says, hey, you have a brief for that, and it's in your dictionary already, and I know that because it's in green, and I want. So it's offering up, hey, you're writing something out you don't need to, and it's just a reminder. And now that green will get darker and darker and darker the more I ignore that. So if I say I'm in all day long, I've been writing and I want out, by the end of the day, that green is practical neon because it just keeps getting brighter and brighter to remind me like, hey, you're not using a brief that you have in your dictionary. So I do like that because it draws your eye to it. So all these other ones are just a pale green, and then you finally see one that's neon green. You're like, okay, I need to, obviously it's something I write all the time. I can see it now. Just see right here, there's a, right inside of it, there's a little options tab right here. So I'm going to click that options tab. So this is where you decide the things that you want this brief it to do. You only have to do this one time, but you need to go through and do this. So you tell it how many words do you want it to brief. I don't want it to give me a brief for 10 words. Maximum, give me 5. The next thing is, do you want to see the steno? If you look over here in the steno, where I have define DWAOIND, do you want it to show up like X equals X, or do you want it to show SKW? So I prefer to have it where it actually shows the letter, because otherwise I had all these, like J is SKWR, you know, it's just all of those. So I like to see what is actually X is X. Okay. You can also tell it only suggest one stroke briefs. It'll give you two stroke, like double strokes if you want to write double stroke things. I just said, just give me one stroke. I don't want to mess with that. You can tell it, I only want it to define if I write that word twice. I don't use that, but if you have trouble with you accidentally would hit it, it will actually define that. So you might want to have it write twice. And then this one right here determines whether it's going to go into your dictionary when you do a global, or it's just going to go into your case dictionary. So if I had this clicked, that means when I use that 1G, 2G, 3G, it means it's only going to go into this case dictionary. It's not going into my personal dictionary. But I like it because I define things every day. I'm still adding things to my dictionary every day. So I just decided I'll just put that in my update area. Okay, there are personal reminders, which is if you don't want to have them suggest briefs, if you only want it to show you what is in your dictionary and remind you what's in your dictionary, you would click this. I want to have them suggest other briefs, so I unclicked that. You can have one stroke reminders for two strokes. There's auto open brief it is if you click that, it will automatically open when you do real time. Otherwise, if you had it open when you started real time, the next time you start real time, it will be open and you'll have to toggle it off. So since I toggle back and forth, I don't have that checked, but you might want to check that so it will always be open. This right here is if you use a brief, see over here where they turned gray. If you use a brief, you can say, if I used it, send it to Cat Scratch. And Cat Scratch is something else that maybe we can go over another day, but it's just like a little reminder of the things that, like, you could write yourself notes. You can remind, oh yeah, I'm writing this way. It's just a little place to like write notes. So you can send it to that. And some people want briefs with numbers and some don't. And also you can have the double syllable, double the first syllable, like, so like Johnson, they would offer you John, and it will translate correctly. So if you want to always do it that way, you can have it be a double first stroke. And it's called steno include and exclude. So this is the file that says, never give me a 6 and an R together. So look right here, here's 6R. You're never going to be able to write 6 and find that R on the other side. So never give me a brief for those. Those are already in your dictionary. You don't have to have them. But almost all of them, and you probably need to go on it for just this reason, has it as required. What do you want it to require? Do you always want it to have an asterisk in it, or do you never want it to have an asterisk in it? So if you want, you just double click this. It'll say, what do you want to require? You can tell it, I require every brief you suggest to me, put an asterisk in it. I didn't want to do that. If this says they can put an asterisk in, but I don't want it to be required. So I deleted that. So you might need to look in your dictionary there, double click it. And if that asterisk is there, double click it and delete it. Okay, so, and I told it when I'm doing numbers, include an I in it, because like if it's 11,550 and it offers me a brief, I want it to always have an I. Although, okay, you can go on top of each one of these and it retells you, see how that little box popped up? It tells you how many times it was reminded. It reminded you twice. You can right click on these things and it gives you options. You can look up the steno for it. You can send it to your Cat Scratch, or you can send it to your no nag list. A no nag list is,
I have most of this on my.
Monica, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
If you send to the no nag says, don't keep reminding me. Yes, I know how that and IK is in my dictionary. See, I double clicked on it and went right to my dictionary. So you can say, stop reminding me of that. You can click no nag and it won't give you that anymore. You can right click on it. You can clear all the ones that you have not used. And I have a steno-stroke for this. And I actually do that because let me show you how to do it. If you've not used it, it will clear whatever is there. So it'll clear these the peach ones. So I write, what did I write? Oops. I write BRFTD and it just cleared what I didn't use. It keeps the ones that are in your dictionary and it keeps your live suggestions. Okay, so here, so see how many that it comes up. Oh, here, I was going to show you how they get darker. Here's one. See how the regular green is here. This one got a little darker. This one's darker, and it'll just keep getting darker until I was looking to see if I had a neon one. But here's one that's, you know, darker than some of the others, and it's telling me, hey, you've got some stuff here that you're not using. So see all these extra things here. If I right clicked on it and told it to clear, recycle, it cleared out all those suggestions.